Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
Back to Casey. Who's our next guest, Casey?
Well, I'm looking for Miss Bear right now.
Oh, you're looking for our guest?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, they have
okay. Yeah, so we're looking for Craig, right? So, okay. So you can walk around and we can talk. So how the hustle and bustle of Miami, so we just keep it rolling wise for the podcast version and the people listening live right now. The hustle and bustle is everything. What other things are you coordinating? You're coordinating for my show, but who else are you coordinating for today, Casey?
Actually, I've been giving solely to you for today. Mark Bernier is up here. We've got our local TV station, WPBT, here at the book fair. And, any author that needs anything or any small requests, I need everybody, make sure everybody's in the right spot.
Gotcha. And the logistics, which we always have in different things, what happened with the phone line that it wouldn't even dial, that you couldn't answer? Is this something, did finally the phone lines get fixed?
It has not been fixed yet. We haven't been able to get a tech in there. But hopefully we'll get that fixed soon.
I was Johnny on. I was
call in, but it just
yeah, exactly. And I'm Johnny on the spot to keep this going, right? Keep the show
Absolutely.
Must go on, and we were able to keep it going.
Absolutely.
Tell Lisa I found your cell phone number, and that's how we kept it going. I think that's so fun and so interesting.
Wild.
And really, isn't this amazing? We've been able to go through every interview today except the first because of technical difficulties, and we've stepped to our schedule. I'm shocked. We have
Absolutely.
to keep it. So we're looking for Craig right now.
It's
Craig
amazing.
Thompson.
Actually, I just found Craig on the stairs, so I turned around and came right back up. So he's right here with me.
So I'm excited to welcome to the program Craig Thompson. Craig, thanks for calling. And we're talking about logistics and how the show must go on and how I take the initiative to get my story and to get my interviews and how I had to kind of dig deep to finally make sure that this happened for sure. So how are you?
Oh, thanks, Neil. I'm good. Thanks for going to the effort.
Hey, it's like funny. I'm broadcasting in one of my studios because I decided my kids are here and I have 5 kids at home in my home studio. And I said I went to one of my producers and house and said, we'll do it here. And she's like saying, Neil, what's happening? We can't get live. And I said, well, I'm going to figure this out. Let me go dig into my text messages. And then I found Casey, and there you go. And luckily, Casey was volunteering at the fair. Exactly. And so you're an Eisner Award-winning graphic novelist, best known for a bunch of different books for sure. And the graphic novel, Craig, unbelievably enough, continues to grow each and every year. Isn't that true?
Yeah, definitely. The book I'm best known for is Blankets, out in 2003, which was like this year of a sea change with the book publishing industry wanting graphic novels. Right before me, there was Chris Ware's Jimmy Corrigan, and then a year after me was Alison Bechdel's Fun Home, and Blankets was kind of situated right between those two as things were shifting. And now it's completely different. Now it's like it seems to be the fastest growing arm of publishing, especially in like the sort of middle grade and younger readers category.
Oh, I agree, and that's great. I think it's great that we're finding another way for kids to enjoy reading and to get them into it. Ending the days of the comic books, even though they're great. I'm sure you're a comic book fan, but that now we can get them into schools. Especially one thing that's good about Common Core, I'm not always a fan, is the fact involving reading, how teachers can bring in different genres of books now to educate students. That probably is a really good fact, one plus of Common Core, and especially books like yourself to get into schools and get kids reading. Do you agree?
Yeah, exactly. I had something really great yesterday. I was in Minneapolis yesterday for the NCTE event, and an educator was talking about the graphic novel adaptations of Hamlet and how ultimately Shakespeare isn't meant to be read. It's meant to be performed or watched. So in a way, the graphic novel adaptation is closer, to experiencing Shakespeare than just reading the text, the prose version. And that was an educator saying that, not me. So if people get upset by that, I'll pass the blame on to them. But I thought it was a pretty good observation, actually, and that the visual cues in the graphic novel version help the students with their comprehension of Shakespeare, which can be, for some of them very difficult.
And that's the thing. You're giving teachers the ability now to bring something in that excites them. Bring something in that will tear down the barriers of Shakespeare or other genres, and saying, well, now I'm interested in talking about this, and that just helps the teacher instruct because you're giving them that experience, and then there you go, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we are living a very, visual media landscape now. So, kids' reading habits are changing, but the fact that they're reading at all is awesome. And graphic novels are a very quiet, intimate, interactive medium, which, they're iPads and, the internet is not. I guess it's interactive, but not on the same level, on that same quiet level. What was I going to say? And in fact, in comics, it covers such a broad spectrum of sort of literacy. In my book Habibi, which is not for young readers, I have a chapter of the book which has 0 pictures. It's prose only. And I think the spectrum of what you could do with comics could be only pictures, sort of like Brian Selznick's, Hugo Cabaret books, which are comics, one image per page, no words. But there's arguments that say, Alan Carnet, trying to think of a good example, but you could do a comic completely with just prose. There are some cartoonists, self-proclaimed cartoonists, who try to eliminate representational or imagery altogether to just focus on breaking down text within a page composition and within panels. So it's a pretty broad spectrum of what you can do with the medium.
All right, let's kind of break down your latest book. Tell us about it.
Okay, my newest book is called Space Dumplings. It's from Scholastic Graphics, and for me that's super exciting because I grew up in a family. We didn't really go to bookstores, and one of the only times we had access to buying books was through the Scholastic book clubs in the school. That's pretty exciting. And Scholastic has had great success with publishing graphic novels for younger readers, starting with Jeff Smith's Bone 11 years ago, or 10 years ago. This book is a sci-fi adventure comedy on the surface, starring a little girl named Violet and her 2 misfit friends. One is Elliot the Chicken, and one is Zacchaeus the Last Living Lumpkin, kind of this motley crew of kids on an adventure in outer space. But it's drawing on all these themes that inspire me as an adult. So there's themes of energy crisis and environmental disaster, social class divide, that's a big one, and then, themes of family, both on like sort of a nuclear level, but also on a huge global or galaxy level.
And that's really, really, really great. And to be working with for sure, and now having something that interests people for sure. Well, are you a fan of sci-fi, Craig?
To be honest, I haven't read a lot of sci-fi. Like everyone, I grew up with Star Wars, so I think that's the primary, sort of, foundation of this all. I watch Ridley Scott's Alien every year. I think that's the best sci-fi movie all time. But definitely Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I read those books when I was in junior high. They have a heavy influence on this because it's that combination of sci-fi and humor. And for the most part, I was really just kind of like churning up all my influences when I was 10 years old of what I loved the most. So that had to be Star Wars. And it had to be movies like The Goonies and Dr. Seuss books and Calvin and Hobbes. And again, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which came a little later, and just making a big goulash of all these childhood loves. Yeah,
so your book has a lot to do with certain loves of your favorite shows and different things down the line and things you enjoyed, and encompassing ideas, not like taking things, but putting little innuendos in this book.
I mentioned Star Wars, but I would remove the wars altogether because for me, as a child, but even now, the sort of warfare aspect of Star Wars is not as compelling to me as that sort of truck drivers in space scenario. That like Han Solo is essentially just a truck driver, and Luke Skywalker's like a farm boy just longing to escape his small town life for bigger adventures. I love the fact that the Millennium Falcon just felt like sort of like someone's cool furnished basement where they could hang out playing board games and stuff.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, that was cool stuff. Or Yoda making a bowl of soup. So with space supplements, there's no weaponry and there's no warfare. It's very domestic. It has to do with, like a little girl, her elementary school getting eaten and her parents trying to find a school for her. It has to do with her parents' jobs and how they're sort of navigating, income and trying to get a school for her. These very kind of mundane domestic details, but in this fantastical backdrop of outer space. And everything has that sort of gritty, clunky Star Wars quality to it. I was really taking that truck drivers in space sort of working class vibe to, its full potential.
Definitely. And that full potential is interesting. Yeah, because, yeah, for sure. And I like the fact that you talk about is the different characters and the interesting things, for sure. What has been the feedback so far for this book?
Amazing. It's a totally different book tour from doing my adult graphic novels. Yes. Because Habibi, which came out with Pantheon 4 years ago, was a really epic bookstore where I was doing huge venues like the Bridal Theater in Harvard Square or Skirball Center in L.A. And then there's something very, epic and literary. Now I do small children's bookstores, which are much more modest events. But then you go to elementary schools and you're talking to 100 or 500 kids, third graders all the way to 12th graders. And their reaction is really amazing. It's totally different from the adult readers. They'll glom onto a single line in a panel and want to know all the stories behind it. And so they first planted the idea of a sequel in my head. They kind of demanded it. Is this going to be a series? And I was like, cool. No, I'm not doing Harry Potter. But as I toured more and kept getting fed ideas by the kids, I'm like, I'm going to steal that idea. That's a good idea. And suddenly I was like, the second volume wrote itself. And now I'm thinking of it as a trilogy, which has a nice ring in the sci-fi realm.
Great. Congratulations. I wanted to mention one thing on the whole Star Wars thing. It seems like you're a fan of Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, not as much 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually never saw all the prequels. I started with Empire Strikes Back because I was the right age when that came out, and that was the first of the movies I saw, and it remains my favorite even as an adult.
Really? And I'm concerned because we all thought, as fans of Star Wars, the last one, The Return of the Jedi, would be the end of the Star Wars series. And now with it coming back, the jury's still out for me as a Star Wars junkie. What is your thought?
Well, I'm excited for the new one. It seems like they're fixing the problems the prequels had. It seems like they're getting more details right, but obviously I don't have as much at stake anymore because I'm an adult. So I feel like, when you're like 7 years old, it's life changing, and it'll be kind of stick with you forever. But I don't expect to have that kind of emotional, spiritual connection with any of the new films, that I would have at that age.
And meaning a lot of our favorite characters are in it. That's the cool part about it. But then how do we stick to the schedule? And we'll figure it out for sure. I look forward to seeing it and see what happens. But I thought that the story ended once Darth Vader, Anakin saved everyone. But we'll have to find out where we go from there. But Craig, best place to purchase your book and learn more about you. Where can we go?
You can pretty much go anywhere because Scholastic has great distribution. So. You always have to support first your local independent bookseller, and if that doesn't exist, go on Amazon, go wherever you can. It should be pretty accessible, and then through the school systems. And it's out now. It's been out for a couple of months, so just to clarify it.
Oh, trust me, Craig.
I'm now ending my 3-month book tour.
Oh, so you're ready to take a break and let Scholastic sell it for you, and whatever you can do.
Yeah, starting something new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to keep writing. So good talking to you, and pass it back. And I appreciate you calling. Take care.
All right. Thanks so much, Neil. You too.
Take care. Okay.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.